as regards where the breakfast room was. A lot of people are still coming in. One of them is our speakers. That was the reason, why we have in fact this small lull before we are starting this thing. But I think we have waited enough for 20 minutes. So if she is not here, we will start it anyways. Anyway, thank you so much. My name is Bhanu. I will be the moderator for this session. This session is jointly organized by UNESCO and Deep Learning Indaba, and it will focus on issues of rights, access, openness, multi-stakeholder framework for AI. Before I proceed with the session, I would like to thank colleagues like Emily, Kushi, Alex, Pratik, Melissa, and others who actually helped to shape this session. And at the same time, I would like to thank the speakers this morning who have graciously accepted our invitation and are here to talk about this very difficult subject. In 2015, 195 countries requested UNESCO to develop a framework which will provide necessary clarity to support holistic approaches to address internet universality. This holistic approach is now very much known around the world as Rome Principle and upholds a human right-based, open and accessible internet governed by multi-stakeholder participation. This framework constitutes a broad, robust and relevant tool to measure digital innovation linked through the internet, including AI-related applications. All this makes it a very useful approach for analyzing the changing ecosystem within which new technologies and their application continuously is emerging. This framework can pretty much, AI in Rome, it analyzes the human rights implication of AI, openness in AI, primarily looking at knowledge, data, market, and opportunities. It also looks at an inclusive access for AI development and looks at multi-stakeholder approaches for AI governance. And at the same time, it focuses on two cross-cutting approaches, AI and gender, and AI in Africa, because Africa is principal priority for UNESCO, like many other UN agencies. So last year, responding to the call of the member states, we started, writing a document called Steering AI from Other Societies. Looks like this, and there are copies available. This is simply a primer, and we have brought in quite a few primers for you to take with you. But this will be, in a month's time, will be converted into a book, and it will be available for you to download. Our first speaker today will somehow help us analyze these dimensions further. Is Grace Mutung'u. She is a researcher in ICT policy in Kenya and also for Africa. She has specialization in digital right, governance, development, and digitalization. She is curator on Sub-Saharan African internet governance issues and Geneva Internet Platform, and an associate of Kenya ICT Action Network. And without further ado, I would like to ask Grace to come and present, and she will be speaking about national digital ID projects and note if men and women's data count differently. Grace, the floor is yours.
Hi everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm actually excited to talk to technologists because I know most of you in this conference are technologists. And earlier this week I was attending another meeting where somebody said, Actually we like to talk about data as if it's something abstract and so out there and so hard for people to comprehend, while in actual fact, data is society. Yeah, it's like a politically correct way of saying society. And I kind of agree with this person because data is just something we say out there abstractly, but it's actually like a new way of governing society. It's how we are being governed right now. And if you look at history, you find that there are many ways in which society can be organized, but basically, on a spectrum, you can either organize society so that the individuals or groups in that society flourish, or the individuals or groups in that society are stifled. And I think it's the same with data. You can either use data to help individuals and groups in society flourish or stifle them. And one of the case studies that can bring this to life is digital ID. Those of you who live or work closely with African countries know that it is the hype right now. Every country is doing digital ID, they are collecting biometrics. In countries like Kenya, they are collecting biometrics for children as young as the age of 6 because it has been determined that this is at the age of 6 is when biometrics like fingerprints are permanently formed. Yeah, and one of the drivers to this collection is that we want to help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. One of which SDG 16.9 is that every person should have legal identity by 2030. And so legal identity has been translated to mean digital identity, including biometrics. If you look at it from that scope of 2030, you know that by 2030, or you expect that by 2030, all this data that is being collected will have formed the basis for AI applications in government, right? And so we are concerned, or we want to look at, as it is being collected now, or as AI is being designed now, or as data is being designed now, is it being designed to help people flourish, or is it being designed to stifle people and to control them? And so one of the things, for example, in a country like Kenya, is that this is not starting from scratch. There was already an identity or an ID system from as far back as 1915. But at 1915, when we started having an ID system, only men were registered. And men were registered according to their clan, sub-clan, and tribe. These are all constructs in society, right? Because if we really go to sociology and find out how people acquire a tribe, it's all something constructed, yeah? It's constructed from the region where you were born, or the region where you were married, or the region where you settled, and so on and so forth. And so what happened is that over the years, as Kenya gained independence, and Kenya is just an example, this is the case in many African countries, we inherited this system of recording people according to their sub-clan, clan, and tribe. And these things are actually coded, yeah? And so in 1978, when we started recording women for the first time, women were recorded as an appendage of men, yeah? So to date, the system we have, if you're just looking at it absolutely from a data perspective, women as data subjects appear as appendages to men. They are all connected to men. Their ethnicity is derived from their paternal lineage, right? And so now, this is how we want to organized society, and this is with the hype right now. We are just collecting data using the SIM system and also perpetuating it a little bit more. I have seen, for example, in the Kenya is currently going through a census. If you look at maybe Twitter or Facebook, people are really talking about the census. Some of the questions asked in the census, for example, this question is asked to women: how many live births, like how many times have you given birth? How many live births have you had? And for most women, that is a very disturbing question. If you have not had a live birth, if you had the experience of carrying a pregnancy but not carrying it to term, that's trauma. But this is a question that is being asked in a very, by the way, we need this information because we are counting demographics. And so on top of counting you as an appendage, we also now are more interested in knowing more about your body and what it has done in the past, and how it is going to propagate what we really care about, which is the future generations, how healthy it has been, how many future generations it has propagated, how many times your body has failed in propagating future generations. I suspect that the people who design this data collection do not have these things in mind. I suspect that if they had more people who have these perspectives about how ethnicity only considers one gender, that is the male gender, and totally kind of erases the female gender, I suspect if they thought about the sensitivity of asking a woman how many live births she has had, I suspect they would design or they would collect data in a more, in a more caring way, for lack of a better word. I suspect they would do that. And these kind of perspectives that are different between men and women are so important, yet so unaccounted for. I was looking at statistics from the Communications Authority of Kenya, where they ask all the operators in Kenya to give them data on, for example, the number of internet connections, the number of data connections or subscribers, the number of SMSs that were sent, and so on and so forth. After they did the last one, for the last quarter, the report shows that Kenya has 106% penetration rate of mobile. Yeah, somebody is laughing because you know for sure that in most places in Kenya, I mean, in the urban areas, people do have phones with multiple SIM cards, and therefore they could be counted as, one person could be counted as twice. If you go to the rural areas or to the informal settlements, you find that there are many households where there is one mobile device that is shared across the household. And more often than not, and there is research from Research ICT Africa, more often than not, it shows that where there is both a male and a female, the male will be the owner of that phone and will be having access, and they're the ones using the phone. So we have not even started at that level of understanding. Is there a difference between how men and women access technology? Is there a difference in how they use technology? But here we are already using our heritage to make the future way of governing society. So these are questions that I think we should think more about. These are questions that young people who may end up working either in government or the companies that are making these technologies need to be aware about, so that they can influence more responsive technology that is people-centered, technology that considers women not just as appendages of their male relatives, but as actual, complete human beings so that when we apply technologies like AI on this data, women are read as full human beings. So this is among the things that we are working on at CIPIT, which is part of the AI for Development in Africa network. And even in this census, we are trying to sensitize the policymakers to think about issues like data minimization. It has not yet, I do not see a reason why we need to record ethnicity in order to provide government services. This would be important for cultural issues, it would be important for cultural identity, but I don't think we need cultural identity and ethnicity data in order to provide services, and that is just one of the things. And so I am also looking forward to discussing more about this with you as we delve deep into case studies on how digital ID is being implemented in Africa. Thank you so much.
We are entertaining a couple of questions.
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm also from Kenya, so that's why I love it. So I wanted to ask you, we have laws, like in Kenya right now we have the data protection bill. It hasn't been passed. The government is taking data from the citizens, but there's no any legal, legal structure to govern, to protect the rights of the guys whose data has been taken. So when I was doing a course for data science, one of the issues that arose was the Zimbabwean government shared pictures of the citizens with a Chinese company which was doing image recognition, facial recognition. So they wanted to use data faces to improve the efficiency of the accuracy of the model. So in such a case in Kenya where they take very intimate information, including number of wives, cows, you own a boat, where you working, where you living. So how does is there a legal way of challenging this part of the not protecting the citizens?
I go ahead. Okay. So what is happening in Kenya is actually happening across many African countries. It seems to be a trend to collect data first and then make the laws for data protection later. And it's great we have the UN, a UN body over here, because with the census, we've had this debate in Kenya about should the census be about collective data or should it be about individual data? Should we ask questions and then after asking these questions link them and identify the individual who answered these questions, or should we ask questions and not identify the individual who answered the questions so that we do get the data, which is very important for national planning and development, but then we protect the privacy of the individual. So for sure it's a problem. For the case of Kenya specifically, and a lot of African countries, we are protected by the Constitution because the Constitution states that we have a right to privacy. However, we made these constitutions way before when there wasn't so much digital. And now, African governments and African people need to really define privacy in the digital age for ourselves and what it means and how we can protect privacy in all these digital things that are happening, in all this ubiquity that is there, because there's so much data that is collected even without involving you. And of course, I think the hardest problem with even talking to the public about this, like if I'm asking my mother back at home, data is not like land that if you take part of my land, I will notice. Yeah. she doesn't realize that every time she gives her biometrics to the local chief, data is being collected and is going to be processed. So we do have that protection in the Constitution. We need much more work and advocacy to get our leaders and everybody to understand that we need to define privacy in the digital age. And I'm glad that in the case of Kenya, people have even gone to court to get the courts to help us to interpret this problem.
Any other question? I have got one. In fact, the way your data is collected in Kenya, or maybe in different parts of the developed world, this is likely to create filter bubbles. And one of the things that we are arguing for a long time is to create a condition to equality. And if you go and speak to someone who is the director of Census Bureau here and say that, is the data collected right, and whether or not this aggregated data is collected or not, he was the census say that yes, it is, and they are in fact meeting all this international standard. Then where are we going wrong, and who do you think we should educate and why?
In my view, where we are going wrong is in this idea, I don't know where we got it from, called a single source of truth about everyone. I think it's very un-African. Let me speak from the Kenyan communities I'm aware of. In most of the older society, pre-colonial societies, there were groups, yeah? Women would have their own group and age groups, men would have their own group, the youth would have their own group, and so on and so forth. And that's how governance was practiced. So, for example, if a young man wanted to marry somebody, they would send not search parties, but they would send for intelligence from whoever they wanted to marry, and they would try to get intelligence. Now, from the women's group, yeah, this young man needed to speak to their mother, because the mother could find out from the women's group and from the the midwives, could find out what are the medical problems in that family or in that lineage that they need to be aware of, and whether that family is generally compatible with their family or their clan. You would find out from the women's group. From the men's group, you would find out about maybe what kind of warriors this family is, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but it would be difficult for information, like medical information, in African medical information, to get out of the women's group. The midwives would never disclose whatever they had found out while they were delivering babies. It would stay in that group, and so on and so forth. So there were kind of silence, yeah. And there was nobody who had all the information about everyone, or there was no council that had all the information about everyone, which I think is a very important thing or idea in protecting the dignity of everybody. And so where we're going wrong, in my view, is in governments trying to centralize everything, trying to centralize health data, social security data with law enforcement data. For me, is so problematic, because governments are also the political parties, and this information can be used once you analyze it. And we saw this in Kenya in 2017, Cambridge Analytica. Yeah, once you analyze it, you can use it to manipulate societies. So I think, for example, that health data needs to stay, identifiable health data needs to stay with health service providers. I think the census or statistics and planners do not need identifiable data. If they are going to collect data about health and about data about housing and data about the property that you have, it is very unfair to link you to that data personally and then share that data with the central government or the homeland people, because it really puts you at risk of your health data being criminalized or your property data being coming for you for taxes and so on and so forth, or your family data being disclosed when you're not ready, because I think in Kenya we are also looking towards having a DNA bank, DNA data bank for everybody. So it's good to collect data, but I think the silos serve a purpose in protecting and promoting human rights, and not just the right to privacy, but many, many other rights. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Grace. Her last statement somehow leads to the next presentation, which would be by Raymond. Raymond he's a research fellow at Lagos Business School, Nigeria, where his research focuses on institutional and policy challenges in the evolution of digital economy and technological innovation. Raymond will speak about ICT access in Africa and the age of artificial intelligence, and will note the importance of sound policy as prerequisite for Africa to harness the potential of artificial intelligence and other emerging technology. Raymond.
Good morning. Thank you for sitting in for these sessions. So, as we continue on this discourse between artificial intelligence and fairness, in this I will be shedding some light on the state of ICT access across Africa. ICT access, not just access, but access and use across Africa in comparison to other regions of the world, as the continent continues to step forward in the age of artificial intelligence. As we know, artificial intelligence is built on 3 key mechanisms that includes increased computing power, increased data capture and storage, as well as autonomous algorithms. But all these 3 require a sustainable level of connectivity for them to run efficiently. Therefore, for African countries to be able to equitably harness the potentials of AI, there is that critical need to begin to address some of the deficits along these lines. In the last decade, even though there have been an increased levels of investments with regards to telecommunications infrastructure across the continent, there's still a lot of gaps that needs to be filled, as well as some more analog foundations that are still well unevenly distributed with regards to artificial intelligence. So with the ubiquitous adoption of mobile technology across Africa in the last decade, there's still that expectation that the continent will be able to leverage AI in solving some of these critical challenges, especially with regards to the creation of digital jobs, as well as improvement of public service delivery with regards to e-governance and e-government. But for the continent to be well positioned to sustainably harness these potentials, then the issues of connectivity, and not just connectivity, but also access and use have to be addressed. So this talk will be based largely on the survey that was carried out by the regional think tank, Research ICT Africa, from between 2017 to 2018, addressing some of these issues as we jump into this presentation. So if we look at the internet penetration indicator across Africa with regards to the rest of the world, paradoxically what we find is that even though more people are getting online across Africa and being connected, digital inequality is not actually reducing, it is increasing. Even though people are getting more online and getting more connected, digital inequality is increasing. What could be the peculiar drivers for this in the African context, and what might we be doing as members of this ecosystem trying to bridge some of these deficits? So with regards to internet penetration, Africa is doing an average of about 21%. In fact, across the countries that were surveyed, only 3 countries in Africa have at least half of their population connected to the internet, with most of the countries surveyed averaging at about 15%. And with the results from the Oxford study group that indicated that disparities in internet penetration can account for up to 80% of income disparities globally, then we run the risk of amplifying these digital inequalities as we continue to apply and adopt more technology across the region. And so beyond the supply side investment imperatives with regards to infrastructure for building out new generation networks for access, there is also the demand side barriers to use, because even in places where there is coverage, where there is access, people are still having a lot of challenges with regards to actually getting on the services and applications that are being provided. And key across the continent that was found out by this survey is that the cost of equipment remains too high and unaffordable by a large population on the continent. We want to talk about equipment in the African context in assessing connectivity, most likely talking about the mobile technology, because as we get towards find out, a large population of Africans connect to the internet basically through the mobile phone, but the cost of equipment still remains too high. The other factors is that most people are still saying they do not need the internet and they do not know how to use it, for those that know know the value of the internet. So the question is, in this age where most economies are running through most internet are leveraging the internet, most applications are leveraging the internet. When people say they don't need the internet, that goes to show that there's still a lot of ignorance about what they can use it for. Because at the moment, it's the age of technology, it's the age of AI, and so if you say, I don't need the internet, then that's a problem. And that's the gap that also needs to be closed. And then finally, I would like to point out on this demand side barriers, the cost of service. If we extrapolate the affordability of technology across Africa and the rest of the world in terms of pricing, even though the prices are relatively lower comparatively to other parts of the world, a lot of people are still unable to afford these services, most likely because of the levels of income. And so, talking about mobile connectivity across Africa, like I said, even though a large population of Africans connect online using the mobile phone, as I said, 7 out of 10 Africans connect using the mobile phone. But based on this recent study by the GSM Intelligence, across Africa, the mobile connectivity averages at a penetration level of below 44%. That is still quite low if we compare that to a global average of near 67%. Considering the fact that this is the chief platform with which Africans connect online. Therefore, there still requires a critical policy intervention with regards to mobile connectivity, with regards to getting these smartphones, especially because we are talking about increased computing power. In the age of artificial intelligence, feature phones and basic phones will not do for the continent, because most of these applications will rather not run on these services. And so, like I was talking about mobile phone ownership, 35% of those who are surveyed do not still own any form of mobile device, while a large proportion of those who own, up to 46%, basically use basic phones and feature phones. Like I said, if we're talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about increased computing power, feature phones and basic phones will not do. And therefore, there is a need to increase that number of smartphone ownership, which is still at an average of 19% across Africa. There's a need to increase that with regards to more intervention in relation to policies that have to address this. And then when we look at the affordability index across Africa in relation to other regions of the world, if we consider pricing of broadband in relation to the percentage monthly GDP across Africa, that figure is almost 7%. That is very high if we compare Africa to the rest of the world. And if we bias that to the lower quintile of income, and that speaks mostly to a larger proportion of the bottom of the pyramid across Africa, that figure rises to almost 40%, and that is very unsustainable if we're talking about affordability and inclusiveness in the AI age with regards to Africa. So there's a need for policy intervention to drive down these figures to at least a sustainable target of about 2%, indicated by the black line there. That will be relatively okay if we compare that to the broadband affordability index for high-income countries globally, benchmarked at below 1%. That is indicated by the dashed line in here. So this is also another key area where policy needs to be intervened in making sure that people, a large population of the continent, can equitably participate in the digital economy as we continue to drive the adoption of artificial intelligence. And then finally on the index, I'd like to also shed some light on the distribution gaps that have continued to increase. Even though connectivity has been on the increase in the past decade, digital inequality with regards to distribution gaps has continued to increase. When we look at the gender dimension, most of the African countries are still occupying the high rung of gender inequality divide with regards to connectivity across Africa. You can see Rwanda at almost 62%, and Mozambique at near 50%. And that is so high scores compared to the global average, which is quite below 10% with regards to gender connectivity distribution. Then finally, with regards to location, this is even more acute because as more Africans continue to get online, this figure has continued to drastically increase across Africa. In 2000, the connectivity distribution gap for Africa was around 20%. By 2012, it has risen to 31%. And by the time these surveys were being carried out, at the start of 2017, that figure has drastically increased to almost 61%. This is even though, or in contrast to the fact that more people have continued to get online, so the disparities have continued to also increase. And you can see that the figures there are quite high when we look at some countries like Mozambique, with connectivity distribution gap with regards to rural-urban disparities of up to 87%. That becomes very, very significant. And policy also needs to look in this direction. And so considering this landscape across Africa with regards to ICT and use, ICT access and use, what then does it really mean for us as Africans and African countries? That the largest companies, the most powerful governments are investing in programs, in infrastructures, in technologies of artificial intelligence. According to a recent study by PricewaterhouseCoopers, by 2030, it's expected that AI should help lead to an increase in global GDP of almost 14%. But then the question is, who is really going to benefit? The current landscape, most likely America and China, who are expected to cream off almost 70% of that digital dividend, while as the developing countries, as such as in Africa, is expected to make just about 7%. So for us, the question really is, what then can we be doing to alter that narrative and to make sure that we position the continent to equitably participate in the digital economy as we continue to deploy artificial intelligence systems? What then can we do, particularly as the technical community within the multi-stakeholder ecosystem, to bridge some of these deficits in this regards? Two things come to mind. One thing that is critically needed is some more comprehensive indicators, a more modeling of data to understand what the contextual drivers for these disparities with regards to ICT exclusion and inclusion across Africa is, especially perhaps leveraging artificial intelligence itself, on which some of us are technical experts in that area. This should be probably in line with UNESCO's Internet Universality Indicators, the Rome principles that were just shared earlier, include rights, openness, access, multi-stakeholderism, and the other cross-cutting issues with regards to gender and order. Secondly, and more importantly, especially for some of us who are working in the area of natural language processing, there is that critical need for a Pan-African localization of the services and applications that run on artificial intelligence. This will not only stimulate the critical bottom of the pyramid with regards to getting online who really need to improve their socioeconomic their state, considering the dividends that we hope that AI will be on the continent, but it will also strengthen and sustain the fledgling entrepreneurial ecosystem with regards to the production of local applications and systems that run on artificial intelligence, without which we'll continue to rely on foreign expertise as a continent in the short and the future term in this regard. And this will sure have significant imperatives for us as a continent with regards to our sovereignty as a region. So I hope as we go on to work, that while we work, we should think in these lines. While we work in our own different policy spheres of influence, we can begin to see what we can do to bridge this deficit so that every African in the near future, regardless of our color, regardless of gender, regardless of geography, can be able to participate equitably in the AI and digital economy. Thank you.
Some questions?
I have a question. I like your graphs on the disparity between like the urban, rural, and the gender. And I noticed like Latin American countries have far lower disparity, but they also have greater connectivity overall. So do you think that if Africa was to increase connectivity overall, with respect to urban, rural, and gender, the disparity would decrease, or is there like a fundamental contextual disparity?
Yeah, connectivity has increased significantly across Africa, like I said, but while connectivity is increasing, the disparities with regards to distribution gaps, ICT access distribution gaps have continued to increase. The reason why has not been pinned down to any particular thing, but what we are saying is there a possibility, perhaps, leveraging the powers of AI to model the data with regards to these indices and indicators to understand what the contextual drivers for these are in such a way that can provide more thorough evidence for policymakers, as well as highlight key priority areas that they can invest or they can focus on in trying to bridge some of these deficits. At the moment, I don't have any particular answer why that is the case.
Do you think there's something that we could learn from the Latin American countries that are seeming to have lower disparities?
I will not know because I don't know what is driving their own indicators. I don't know what is driving that. So we need to find out what is driving our own contextual to be able to deal with our own problems, because it may not necessarily be a best fit application. What is driving the indicators there are also driving indicators across Africa. But you need to focus on them. Africa has never been on the agenda in terms of frontier exploration with regards to what is technology indices. So what we're saying is, can we think about this region also? Otherwise, we are going to be running the risk of amplifying these disparities as we keep applying our technologies with regards to that.
So, I don't know if you're as old a man as me, like a young man, but 10 years ago we had this debate about leapfrogging, and they said that the proliferation of mobile phones was like leapfrogging developmental steps on the continent. My parents' home in Durban, South Africa, beginning of this year, the copper loop died. It's not coming back. ADSL is over. We were leapfrogged out of uncapped broadband. I'm wondering if you see any parallels with leapfrogging in AI, because some people are talking about this, or what we should consider.
Okay, we've had different revolutions. First, second, third, we got into the fourth. But the situation across Africa doesn't seem to be getting better. While other regions countries may have leveraged technology to improve their lot. It has not been the case with regards to Africa. What we're saying is, technology in itself will not change the situation. You need to position yourself. The foundations that these technologies will run upon must be in place. If you don't have enough connectivity, then you can be talking about enjoying the dividend of the technology. If you have a lot of deficits with regard to digital awareness, digital skills, you don't know how to operate it, then how will it be of benefit to you? If you keep on deploying and these issues are not taken care of, it will not happen. So that is what the paradigm can draw. Because for us to make sure that the fourth industrial revolution does not come and also jump over the continent or perhaps leave us even worse off, then we need to begin to look at some of those foundations, both digital and more importantly, the analog dimensions also.
My question is on your data collection. How are you collecting data, especially for the rural population? I have a feeling that we're almost running two contradictions, where probably there are certain statistics that you're showing that maybe your data collection is more skewed to the rural, to the urban population, more than the rural one. And at the same time, even when it comes to that gender gap you were talking about, probably people who then get to participate in the survey are the ones that are found in the offices demographically in Africa, those are the men. So I maybe share the balance in how you make sure that.
All right, I did not personally collect the data. The survey was done by the researchers in Africa. One of the representatives here.
I can answer that question. I'm not the person who's doing the surveys at Research ICT Africa, but it's a household survey. There's sampling done through selection of enumerator areas and statistical sampling techniques that you do for such a thing. Obviously, the capture of data is not perfect, but we try very much to eliminate such bias and when you sample households to speak to all members of the households. It's hard to avoid gender dynamics, as Grace has mentioned, so I don't think we have such bias in terms of going to urban areas and talking to men, because the survey was specifically designed to avoid such bias. It's not a perfect survey, but it's not perfect data as any survey is, but the thing is, a lot of the information we get about ICT access in Africa is usually supply side. That comes from the operators. Operators love to inflate their statistics in order to get investment. They don't account for things like people having multiple SIM cards. So hopefully the household survey is going to complement supply side data as well as in some countries census data. So Kenya's had a census on Sunday and South Africa's recently had a census. And that's a very good question, but definitely try to avoid such bias.
Thanks for the insightful talk. In my observations, I'm from Zimbabwe, and in my observations, the main gatekeepers of digital inclusion are the mobile network operators, particularly in Africa. You notice that almost all innovation is driven from mobile network operators. So I think the only way we can win this battle is from a policy perspective, influencing how mobile network operators charge for their services, for example. Although that's a bit of a problem because the main thing that they cite, particularly in Zimbabwe, is the high cost of acquisition of laying out the infrastructure. So it's a bit of a catch-22. They're capitalists and we are trying to get inclusion, so I don't know how we can strike a balance there.
Especially in these kind of areas, it wouldn't be a front burner agenda for other stakeholders within the ecosystem with regards to private players, with regards to the users themselves, or with regards to the civil society. Here is where the government needs to take leadership, because if they cannot immerse all these indices and make sure that the dynamics are all married together to get the results, nobody's going to do it for the continent. But again, in that area, contextually for us as Africans, most people who are in the lead positions in Africa, Muslim, they don't really understand the imperatives of data and what it means at this point in time. So that focus, that priority may have not been given to that area, to these areas. So what we're saying is there a way we can advocate more? Is there a way we can push the agenda more so that governments, so that policy decision makers can take this thing serious? Because actually, if we don't do that, we will just find ourselves far much backlog in the frontiers of development. So.
Hi, thank you for your talk. My question is on the last part that you mentioned about the dividends from the digital economy. I'm just curious what some of those dividends are in your view, and maybe from some of the research that you have done.
So generally, it was a study by PwC. What they were talking about was in respect to economic development within this of GDP. So globally, it's expected, according to that study, that applications of artificial intelligence should help up to 2030 an increase of about 14% in global GDPs. But what the question there is in this global cake, what then is the proportionality of what each region should be able to get? And so with the current landscape in peculiarities to Africa, what we're saying is if we do nothing concerning these issues, then what we are expected to get is probably less than about 5% of this global cake. And that is a big lot compared to what is expected for developed economies such as US and China, who are scoring very high on some of these indices with regards to ICT as a activity. And so those are some of the shortfalls that we need to start looking. If we want to say that we are equitably participating, we are not equitably participated in most of the goodies that technology has provided across the different revolutions. But what we're saying is, what can we do to position ourselves as we continue to march into the age of artificial intelligence to get better more of those different technologies?
Thank you, Raymond. But please, I have one question. In fact, one of the dimensions that maybe your survey also is how this access essentially gets converted into something more useful to society. And who does that? So did your survey also look at, say, a research person equivalent, that is available across Africa? For example, people, New York Times essentially said that there are 300,000 AI experts in the world. So how many of them are in Africa? So having connected it in cloud, if there are no people, utilizing that connectivity for something, that is one question. The other question is, globally, 60,000 AI and machine learning publications per year. How many of those are coming from Africa?
I don't have exact figures to that. Alex, can you speak to that?
I don't have exact figures from that. I think, similar statistics were offered on women in AI conferences. So I think someone has to pull that data. How one would identify African speakers at a conference unless they're tagged, I don't know. I could be a Greek speaker for all you know.
Is there a definition?